The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 4th day of August, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Linda's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Michaela Ian, and of course, Leanna Lambert will be with us a bit later to bring us the latest in her news break. Kales, it's hump day. What's up?
Thank God. I'm not gonna lie, this week is just like, I'm telling you, they're waking up, they like getting the things done, and like, whew, I mean, people would never know, which is the good thing. But yeah, it's a lot.
It's let's just call it, even though it may have nothing to do with this, but let's just call it the cop match hangover. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good week. Like I'm in a whole mood. I kicked off my new program last night, so I have some awesome students. Yes, I have some awesome students in that program and teaching them all about how to be great on camera. So I'm feeling good.
I love it. And look, I must say, you are feeling good, but Kales, it's still too early to be wearing red.
It's accessories, Jamal.
Okay. All right. Okay, acceptable at this point. But good morning, everyone. Yes, good morning to Sean Smith and Kathy Rogers. Thank you all for waking up with us and tuning in and making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as Minister Renee Ming and Dean Rubain of the Ministry of National Security, look at me, stopped by to discuss hurricane prep and natural disaster relief and so on. So should be an interesting conversation with both. The Daily Play is a say it, please don't sing it. Michaela is guessing
my favorite
to a famous song. You got last week's very fast.
I was the only one who got last week's out of the other people, Leanna, Sherry, and Larry, and I got it like that.
Even after you said it, I think Larry was still thinking.
He still didn't know. I'm here singing the song, and he still don't even know.
Yeah. Look, someone's talking about you, Kales. David, he says Kales is easing into the neutral zone again.
No, boo. No. Very St. George's.
Hey, look.
There is no neutral zone, Papa.
If anyone's St. George's, folks, it would be her. Look, let me just say before we get into today's conversation, folks, there are a lot of private jets going off, so I'll do my best to make sure you don't hear them. Mr. Barack guy, President Obama, his party must be tonight, his 60th. No, I didn't get an invite, and I'm not getting arrested trying to go. But all night, just private jets.
Yeah, he's having a whole vibe.
Yeah, and didn't even ask Michaela and I to come by. And
didn't even. I'm like, come on, Uncle Barry, what's going on?
Yeah, Barry is not our people.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Kales will be at the party next year, and I'll be still at the gate trying to peek through the trees and whatnot.
You can be my +1 if Nikki will allow.
There we go. +1. There we go. We're in his house. But look, folks, we have a very important conversation to have. Obviously, we have a lot of fun on this show, but sometimes we honestly do have to have a conversation. Before we get into the conversation, my dear sister, Sherry Vanderpool says, come on, Jamal, go get a picture. Sherry, if you don't show me the bail money before I go.
Listen. We need assurances.
Exactly. But before we get into the conversation today, I want to touch on Good Day Bermuda this morning with Jackie and Terry. They had a very good conversation. It was about who are some of Bermuda's trendsetters, and if you have
Oh, that's
that out,
interesting.
it was really good, and it was very good responses from people. So go check that out if you haven't already. Just go on YouTube and subscribe to Good Day Bermuda. Their energy is everything. Love those ladies. They are our sisters, our colleagues. A very interesting conversation, and one that I think you all would enjoy. Good morning to you as well, James Burgess, Rochelle Sumner, and Kathy Brumby, Shawnette, and Chica Trot, everyone who's tuned in. But today's conversation, we're going to focus on um, this new Delta variant. Obviously,
Yeah.
when the pandemic originally started, it was in China, and this pandemic has just shown how small the world is.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe it's politics, not real or not, it is impacting the way we all live, and the cases are rising in Bermuda. And as I read yesterday, and Leanna's probably going to correct me, but 88% of the new cases were of the Delta variant. And so the question for the audience today is very simple. We are all human beings, right? As humans, we have decisions and choices that we make that can impact the way we live. So this is not about the government. This is not about doctors, the vaccines, anything. This is about how can we best deal with rising COVID numbers and the Delta variant. Now, we haven't spoken about COVID on this show for ages.
Yeah.
And in truth, there are so many other things that we have to discuss because we cannot let COVID take over everyday lives. But at the end of the day, it is a problem and it is an issue before us. And this is a problem that's not going anywhere. I said to people often, do not use Florida as your example. Um, you know,
No.
I live in South Florida, and I've seen people say, "Oh, be like Florida, this and that." Um, Florida's going to have a lot to answer to by the time this is all over. But what I really want people, before I get to you answering the question of the day, which is how can we best deal with COVID numbers and the Delta variant? Let me just put this out there. If you follow the news or if you're in social media, you have noticed the tone change by a lot of Republican leadership over the last 2 weeks. The same leadership who previously told you not to get vaccinated, sorry, are all of a sudden encouraging people to get vaccinated.
Well,
Just Google it for yourself. What states and which ones, even certain networks, are now pushing that narrative? The same ones who were telling people not to previously.
yeah.
Folks, this is up to us. Whether we believe it's real or not, our actions will dictate and determine, not politicians. Our actions are going to dictate and determine
Yeah.
our fate.
And this is the thing, right? So I have conversations about mask wearing and all of that. And I'm over it, right? I'm completely over wearing a mask. So in any situation where I don't have to wear a mask, I'm grateful for that situation. However, we know that wearing masks, especially when you're in an indoor confined space,
Mhm,
is how you stop the spread of COVID.
mhm,
So I just feel like we can't, I mean, it's difficult to say because I'm not going to sit here and say we can't relax because we just relaxed.
mhm,
We just relaxed over cop match. I know I relaxed, Um, but at the same time, it's like we know how dangerous this variant is. And what I think is interesting is that there are 3 people who are hospitalized right now
mhm.
with COVID. I want to say it's with the Delta variant. Don't quote me though. I'm not
Maybe
sure.
Liliana could correct us if we're
Yeah,
wrong.
3 people. I'm just looking at the Royal Gazette. 3 people in hospital. One is in intensive care, and not one of those 3 people have been vaccinated.
Mhm,
So I know that there's still a lot of issues with the vaccine. There are a lot of people who are anti the vaccine,
mhm,
and I mean we've talked about this. I got the vaccine to protect myself and to protect my family. I know that I can still get COVID,
mhm,
but I know that if I get COVID, I'm gonna be okay.
mhm.
And so it's just like I feel like it's so easy to just want to relax and just be like, whatever, I'm done. This pandemic is over. It's not over. And we see that because we see how dangerous this Delta variant is. So I
Yeah.
just like if you not properly educated yourself on how the vaccine can help you, then I'd highly recommend doing that, because it seems that that's, I don't want to say the way out of it, because it's not the way out of it, because I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like we as a people have to be responsible. It's not, like you said, it's not just the government. We cannot just sit and wait for the government to do things. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all you said, Michaela. I don't think I want to address something with the government first. So one of the things that I've had a great issue with is how they've approached encouraging people to get the vaccine. I think that it hadn't worked, or it hasn't really truly worked, which is why they haven't reached the percentage that they want to, or they desire.
Agree.
And when things don't work, sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's another way that we can approach this. That's where I would say they're responsible. Now, as far as people, whether or not they take the vaccine, Michaela, whether or not they believe that's the best way out, I don't believe in telling people what they should do.
Of course.
No expert, but what I will say is that what I said from the outset is our fate is going to be determined by our own actions. Now, that could mean whether or not we choose to go out in public, knowing that we could be of risk to others, right? Even people with the vaccine that may have it. You have responsible people that say, you know what, I hate wearing a mask, but I'm going to do it to protect other people.
Right.
I don't have the answers. I don't. This is why, there's a question there asking the audience, how can we best deal with rising COVID numbers and the Delta variant? Because it's not going anywhere. So
and this is the thing.
Deal with it.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like people in the US, especially, like I have a good friend of mine who does events and stuff, and I'm sure Nikki can relate to this, but it's just this whole thing like, oh, well, the Delta variant's coming and things are going to be locked down again. I don't see things getting locked down again, because things can't get locked down again. Economies haven't had time to bounce back. People haven't had time to get out of the financial holes that they were in last year, because they weren't able to work. So it's like, this is not going anywhere. People are still going to travel. People are still going to do whatever it is that they need to do. So it's like, how are we going to live with this? We can't shut down schools anymore. Like, we can't do these things. We have to learn from the lessons and the failures and the successes, and we just have to deal with it. We have to continue to be responsible, even though it sucks. It sucks. I hate wearing a mask. I'm just like, oh my God. However, I know that by me wearing a mask, I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting other people, and I like to be a responsible person.
Yeah. Sheikha Rena, she says, lots of return to office plans are quietly dialing back the return date from October to January. She also says we can focus on our own health, strengthen our immunity, get strong, lower blood pressure, blood sugar, etc. And that's something we've said on this show numerous times. Take our own health into our hands. I'll give you this example, Michaela, and you probably know this, but I've been a gym person. I would go on a treadmill. I would go on what that thing called, the elliptical. I only started running outdoors, jogging outdoors last year during the pandemic when gyms were closed. And now you couldn't pay me to get back on a treadmill. I'm on somewhat of a vacation this week. Not a vacation when we do this, right? But I'm up mornings doing at least 1 mile jog, right? In Florida, there's no hills. So this is hills and stuff up here. It's tiring, it hurts, but it's something that I know I owe myself.
Yes.
For you, it's meditation, right? Right now, you make sure you meditate. These are small changes that we can do, right? It doesn't have to be, everyone doesn't have to know what you're doing. It could be going to your therapist. It can be going to just have a conversation, something that annoys you and makes you feel different.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, and I agree with what Sheikha's saying, because I just feel like the governments around the world have missed a huge opportunity in promoting health. Because of course, if you believe that you should get the vaccine to protect you from getting COVID, by all means, yes. But at the same time, it's like, we still need to be focused on being healthy and being the best versions of ourselves, and we know Bermudians don't generally eat healthy. let's be real. But I definitely agree with that. But it's just like, it comes down to personal responsibility.
Indeed, I agree. And we've had, I think, Sarah Bosch-Denoyer from the Diabetes Association, it's called. She's told us about our eating habits.
They're
And
pretty bad.
extreme. Monica Dunstan kills.
Regardless of whether you have the vaccine or not, sometimes you just need to play the game. Yeah. And I mean, the game sucks, but like, I'm still going to wear my mask. It is what it is.
Yeah. Sean Smith says, we will live with it the same way we live with the flu. And that's it. Like, I mean, not everyone gets the flu shot. The flu is here, different variants or strains, they call them every year. Kathy
Yeah.
Brump.
One question I have is the jab going to protect against the new variants? A question for my doctor, not the politicians. So I think we have to be very clear. I read something earlier this week. So the vaccines that we have, if you've been vaccinated or you're going to get vaccinated, they protected, I want to say it was 90 something percent. I can't remember how high the percent, maybe like 96, 97% from the variant of COVID that existed. With the Delta variant, it's like 88% protection. So even though it's not, that 96, 97%, 88% is still a really high rate of protection. For a new variant, But again, that's the conversation, like Kathy said, that's a conversation to have with your doctor, of course.
Yeah, and I think the nurse, Davon Adams, he came on last year, and one thing he said, because I was one of those people questioning, like, 1 minute the CDC saying this, then Fauci saying that, like it was very confusing, and he was said, no one knew what to do with this virus when it first came. So there was a lot of contradictions. Sam Cat Play says the vaccine doesn't protect against the new variant.
Well, that's not true based on what I've read.
I honestly haven't seen anything. Sam Cat Plays, can you share, if possible, your reference point? Because we definitely don't want to share information that could not be true. I mean, I'm not saying that you're lying, but at the end of the day, where's the reference to say that it does work?
No, I read something earlier this week, and again, maybe I read it wrong. I don't think I did, but what I read said that it protected 88% against the Delta variant.
But in reference to it, what does protect mean? Because even with the variants that exist, you can still get COVID with it. It's just a matter of how extreme the symptoms are going to be. So,
right. That's really what it is. That's what it is. Because with the flu shot, for instance, I only got the flu shot when I was pregnant because my doctor was like, I really need you to get this so that you don't get sick. You can still get the flu, but your symptoms will be mild to minimal.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's the same kind of thing.
Garen Dolan,
that I understand it.
Garen Dolan says, health is wealth. People are more in tune with their own health is a key starting point. Absolutely, Garen. And we've spoken about that numerous times on this show. I can't state it enough. We can't state it enough. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, Michaela.
We have to be responsible and take the precaution. I do understand that people are tired of all the restrictions. Yeah, we are, but we're not out of it. As much as we like to think we are, and I mean, as great as Cut Match was and how free everyone felt, like we're still not out of it. And I truly hope that there isn't a spike in cases after Cut Match.
Well, Sam Cat Place says the reference was in the news as they said that it doesn't have the keys for the new variant. This is why they were exploring the booster. Yeah, it makes sense. No, it makes sense. And Sam Cat Place, at no point, I don't think Michaela and I were questioning whether you were telling the truth or not. But only because, and I'll be honest, we get people that will hit us up and question. I'm like, no, we were just reading a comment. We weren't stating our opinion or anything. So thanks for that. Now there are some people that say, well, what was the news outlet? We're not going to do that. It's not that serious.
No, it's not that serious.
But no, let's bring Leanna into the convo. Obviously, well, she'll probably touch on it. We don't know what's in the news break, do we? Lee surprises us. Morning, Lee.
Morning, guys. How are you doing this morning?
We're good.
We're doing.
yeah, we're happening. We're happening. I'm still a bit upset that I'm not invited to this party. But
it's salty. You hear this, right?
I do. He was talking. He came on talking about, there's the jets flying in, and where's my invitation? And I'm just like, okay.
You guys know I only want an invite so I can say, yeah, I turned it down. I didn't want to go around those people. That's all I want to invite for. So I could say I didn't.
That is total lies.
Yeah. But no, I heard Beyonce and Janet J. Hud, they're all
But
going to
not
be.
Bananse.
Bananse?
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah.
disrespecting the queen by saying Bananse.
Let me behave. I don't want to be what they call the beehive.
The beehive, yeah.
Listen,
You
card
better watch
carrying
out.
members. Watch it, boo.
I,
They are
Watch it.
vicious,
yeah,
okay? They are vicious.
I don't want to get dragged by the beehive. But
You don't.
we've got the Minister of National Security, Renee Ming, and Dean Rebane from the Ministry of National Security coming up. We're going to be talking about hurricane prep and disaster relief today. But Lee, you've got some news for us before we get there, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, over to you, sister.
Thanks, Jamala, Michaela, and happy hump day to everyone. We've just about made it over the hill, so I hope everyone is having a great start to their morning. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our daily hour news break. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. A 25-year-old man who apparently lost control of his motorbike and crashed while being followed by police has unfortunately died of his injuries. A spokesman for the Bermuda Police Service said that officers were conducting laser checks near Port Royal Fire Station when they clocked a motorcycle being ridden by a male at 79 miles per hour traveling west. Now, officers apparently turned on their emergency lights and followed at a distance due to the speed at which the rider was traveling. Once they arrived at the top of Scour Hill, they are said to have observed the rider appearing to lose control and fall off the bike, which was subsequently found to been stolen. Now, the injured man was transported via ambulance for treatment to his injuries and warded in the intensive care unit at the hospital, where sadly he yesterday morning succumbed to his injuries. Now, this marks the island's 7th road fatality for the year. In other news, Bank of NT Butterfield will pay $5.6 million in forfeiture and restitution payments to the United States government in a tax evasion case that dates back nearly 20 years. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, the Justice Department, and the Internal Revenue Service jointly announced that Butterfield entered into a non-prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office and agreed to pay the amount to the U.S. for assisting American taxpayers in opening and maintaining undeclared foreign bank accounts from 2001 through 2013. Now, the agreement that Butterfield will not be criminally prosecuted was based on the bank's extraordinary cooperation, the U.S. Attorney said in a statement, including its efforts in providing 386 client files for non-compliant U.S. taxpayers. Now, the non-prosecution agreement will require Butterfield to forfeit $4.89 million to the U.S., representing certain fees that it earned by assisting its U.S. taxpayer clients in opening and maintaining the undeclared accounts, and to pay $704,000 in restitution to the IRS, representing the approximate unpaid taxes arising from the tax evasion by the bank's clients. And a man was remanded in custody yesterday after he was alleged to have been caught with a semi-automatic pistol and ammunition over the Cotmatch holiday. 30-year-old Jaron Roberts was charged in magistrate's court with possession of a firearm, namely a Cal-Tec .30 automatic P3AT firearm without a license to do so. Now, he was also charged with possession of 3 rounds of 9mm ammunition without a license to do so, possession of a firearm in a public place, and violently resisting arrest. The incident was alleged to have happened on Wellington Slip Road in St. George's during the Somerset Cricket Club's celebratory motorcade on Saturday, which we reported yesterday. Mr. Roberts, who is said to be St. George's, did not have to enter a plea, as the case must be heard in front of the Supreme Court. Now, Magistrate Maxine Anderson sent the case to the next Supreme Court arraignment session, which is to be held on September 1st. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 86 and a low near 77 degrees. There will be a mix of sun and cloud with a couple of showers, as we saw earlier this morning. Despite high pressure remaining in charge, we will be a bit more in the way of cloud over the next few days, with a few showers around, especially during the mornings and evenings. The light to moderate winds will generally blow in from the southeast. That's all for our Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to Jamel and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Thank you so much, Lee, and sincere condolences to the family of the young man who was lost. Obviously, we definitely do not like to share that, but this is part of the reality that we do live in. Lee, thank you so much as usual for what you do, and you make sure you have a great day. And
You guys as well.
let me just pick on you for a second.
Yeah.
You have a birthday in a couple weeks, huh?
Next week, to be exact.
It's a party. It's a party. Nah, look, I don't know what you're doing. We're having a party. We're having a party, Michaela. But
Hey.
so folks, it's Leanna's birthday month. So my birthday is next month, and Michaela's is December. So I expect you all, when you see Leanna anywhere, make sure you give her birthday love. That
Please
doesn't mean
do.
touching. All right.
Shameless plugs. I love it.
Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, sister.
You as well, guys.
All right.
Bye, Lee.
All right. Oh, great energy. Love it. Love it. Love it. Look, again, very sad to hear these stories. And folks, let's just take our time on the roads. Another situation where we need to take personal responsibility. And
Yeah.
so we'll be right back after this. We have the Minister of National Security, Renee Ming, as well as Dean Rubain from the National Security. And we're going to be talking about hurricane prep and disaster relief. Do not go anywhere. And if you haven't already, make sure you let someone know that another important conversation is about to take place on Bermuda's Daily Talk Show.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stocking.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Michaela and I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Don't forget, if you haven't already, download the BCG Radio app. Make it your at work radio station. You can also tune in to listen to the Daily Hour. Apologies for those who were tuned in, but thank you for the messages that I received, as you could not hear Leanna and Michaela. No, I was not sabotaging either of them. There was an issue, but it should be fixed now if that's your way of tuning into the Daily Hour. But without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, the Minister of National Security, Renee Ming, and Dean Rubain. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Michaela.
How are you?
Let's just say your blue is making me feel a bit better.
Wonderful.
You know, Jamal, that was not the result I hoped, prayed, or claimed, but it is what it is. So we got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Well, I don't make New Year's resolutions, but I'm going to make a New Year's resolution, not on January 1st, but now.
Okay.
And this is my promise to everyone. I will not talk crap for the next year, and I'll just let my team go out and do their thing.
That's a lie, but okay.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. So, look, thank you both for coming. Obviously, this is a time of year that Bermudians really need to remain alert.
Yes.
And it's Bermuda, but during my time growing up, born in 81, I believe Emily 87, and then Fabian 2003, the two hits I experienced. Since then, I believe it was 2014 or 15. 14, we had Faye and Gonzalo back to back.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just been extremely active ever since. We'll talk about all this, but before we get started, just both of you share what your role as minister and your role, Mr. Rabin, within the Ministry of National Security. What is your role in ensuring Bermuda and Bermudians are well prepared for hurricane season? Start with you, Minister.
Sure. The role of the minister, in particular for this, is to be the chair of the EMO, which is the Emergency Measures Organization. So, what the EMO does is tries to ensure that all of us are prepared in the event of any emergency. So, the minister is responsible for chairing all of the EMO meetings. And in this case, for hurricane preparedness, we've already actually had a pre-meeting in June, and that was to ensure that we can assess our state of readiness and allow for us to kind of collaborate amongst all of the agencies and all of the government departments to determine where we are, if we're ready, if there was anything that we would have needed. And what we did do is we go back and we looked at our last EMO meeting, and we looked at things that we may have needed to get or be prepared for this year, and just we kind of we did a checklist and said, yep, we've prepared that, we had that. And I can just give you an example. Last year we had a bit of a shortage on some cots for the shelter. And I can, happily say that this year that they were ordered. We have the cots, and so we're prepared. We're prepared.
And Mr. Rabin, tell us about your role within the ministry.
Yes. Good morning. I come under the obviously Ministry of National Security headquarters within the Disaster Risk Reduction and Mitigation Unit. I'm one of the analysts, and the purpose of the unit, first of all, is to coordinate. So we work closely with the Minister of National Security. My role and my responsibility within the unit, one of them is hurricanes and hurricane prep. And just for an example, on the 24th, 25th of July, we coordinated a tree felling weekend with the regiment, Ministry of Works, because it was their initiative, and Parks and Belco and other utilities, to ensure that we were able to look at the problematic areas, not just for hurricanes, but day-to-day bus roads. And the Ministry of Public Works had opened the Marsh Valley horticultural waste dump site for free on both days, that Saturday and Sunday, for example. So it's a lot of coordination, a lot of looking at the disaster management plans.
And I just want to jump in real quickly, Michaela, and because both of you have just said stuff that I think most people, let's be honest, most people probably think, oh, it's a hurricane on the way. You all just jump into meetings and it starts happening then. But you're literally saying, we do have these meetings, these organizations meet. It's a lot more that goes into it than press conferences when weather alert is made or a hurricane warning that comes up.
Definitely, Jamal. I think I gave a ministerial statement in the House of Assembly and for the public, and that was in May. And we were asking, and actually was titled Hurricane Preparedness. And so we were starting from May to kind of let the public know, listen, get ready now, purchase your hurricane supplies. That kit we talk about of having your 7 days worth of things. We started that conversation early because we want people to be prepared. And we want to take a more proactive approach at it, because we don't want to be where it's 3 days before a hurricane and we're all rushing into the wholesale stores trying to buy batteries and water and this and that, when we can have an opportunity to be 4 months ahead, hopefully, of any hurricane. But the other side of it is that we cannot predict Mother Nature. And generally people say, we don't get hurricanes till September, October. But the predictions for this year's hurricane season was that it would be extremely active. And if you know, we actually had our first hurricane, which I think it was Elsa, and that may have been, I can't remember the exact date, but it was June or July. So that gives us an idea that, the prediction for the year of it being extremely active is, I think it's supposed to be 17 named storms, 8 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. And that's what NOAA and the NHC, National Hurricane Center, issued in May. So we know what we could potentially face. And so our real message to the public is let's not wait till the last minute. we can do these things now. There's some things that can be done now, and where we can prepare, let's do so. Mr. Rabin spoke about the tree thing, the tree event. That was to cut down trees so that when we get into a hurricane, we don't necessarily have to wait again. Let's look at around the island now, look around our properties and see what can I do to be proactive and get myself prepared for the hurricane season.
Absolutely. And I like that you brought up the storms, having started already, because traditionally we do get hurricanes in September and October. So do you think that makes us complacent?
I think that we just need to. I'll go back to again to Michaela, to us being prepared. Jamal touched on something in a while ago. He said that in 2014, I believe, or 15, we had the 2 hurricanes back to back. But you also may recall that last year we had Hurricane Paulette, and then the following week we had Hurricane Teddy. So we came out of one hurricane and we went directly into another hurricane, which gives us, again, a very small window for preparedness. But it also gives us an opportunity as, from the public standpoint, to be able to say, okay, you know what, that could happen at any time. So how prepared am I? How, do we have what we need? Have we, the other side of it too, that we mention a lot, is pandemic planning in this, right? Do we have maybe any of the PPE that could be required if, things were not, if we didn't come right back up, if our electricity didn't come on? Do I have enough masks maybe? Do I have gloves that may be required, during this various times? And then another very, very important point is to check on our neighbors, especially those persons who may be vulnerable, like our seniors, because they may not be able to get themselves prepared. Like if they have work that needs to be done in the yard, equipment that outside furniture that may need to be packed away. And it's really, really important for us to check on our neighbors and our vulnerable persons, because we are known to always galvanize during hurricanes. We, as a country, I think we do an amazing job of showing our community spirit during that time. And so what we're asking, what we ask is, we don't have to just wait till the hurricane to do that.
Right.
We can start doing that now.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to switch gears quickly. So just say a hurricane is named, it's coming to Bermuda. What do you, as the Minister of National Security, do in the EMO once that happens? Once you get that alert, let us know what happened.
Surely. It's actually, we switch into very high gear once the hurricane is named and it's determined that Bermuda will in some way be impacted. We convene our emergency measures meetings. We generally will probably meet every day up until a hurricane, just making sure that everything that we can do is done. Our real assessments are coming from the Bermuda Weather Service under the direction of Dr. Mark Ishard, who does an amazing job in keeping us informed on the tracking of the hurricane, the wind, the water surge. So we kind of have to take his guidance and determining how we want to act in certain cases, but we convene emergency meetings immediately, and then we have an emergency operations center, and I'm going to let Mr. Rabin speak to that, because the DERM team, which is disaster risk reduction and mitigation team, generally get that up and running and ready for the hurricane.
Perfect, because that was just what I was going to ask. So please go ahead.
Yes, so there are many moving parts. My team, it's about 5 of us, so, and a coordinator. So we all chip in and get that up and running so that by time the season is upon us, we'll have everything up and running. And this is coordinated between us and the Department of Communications. So they have a role to play, because included in that is the messaging, public messaging that goes out on the emergency broadcast frequency, FM 100.1. And even that itself has to be make sure that that's been maintained. So for example, it was down for a little while in April while we transferred that from one tower to the new government tower. And this is a brand new tower that was put up this year at Prospect. So all of that has to be coordinated. And just back to the operations center, which moved from Prospect due to COVID. mainly down to the Hamilton Fire Station, and that's where we operate from now because of space and safety issues. So it's all in hand, a lot of moving parts, like the minister said, and actually from myself, kudos to Dr. Marcus Shard and Bermuda Valley Service, operating from underneath the umbrella of the Bermuda Airport Authority. And believe it or not, the Bermuda Valley Service is really in place for forecasting for the airport. So for them to go out and forecast for the OI is amazing.
Absolutely. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say one other thing is that Mr. Verbain touched on the emergency broadcast channel. And you're right, we did work on it this year. And we actually encourage members of the public to go on from time to time and just kind of test it and use it and make sure that in the event of the hurricane, you're already familiar with it. We actually offer some live shows on there each day during the lunch period for like 30 minutes on personal safety, family safety, financial security, strengthening your home, and community and neighbors. And that's to, we have actually had some senior persons who enjoy the channel, have reached out and let us know that they kind of listen on a daily basis. But it also, we know it's for an emergency, and I'm really just asking persons to just familiarize yourself with it outside of being in hurricane mood.
Right, absolutely. So aside from that radio channel, where else can people go to find up-to-date information during the hurricane? Like, what's the best mode of communication?
We use just about everything that's available to us, Michaela. We use Facebook, Insta, Twitter, Government Tree Frog, the Emergency Broadcast Channel. We try and use just about every medium. The EMO actually consists of members that are from the Department of DCI, which is Department of Communications, and they make sure that all of our messages are getting out, especially there's messages for after the hurricane, because there's steps and precautions that happen after a hurricane. And so we need the public to, in some cases, we're appealing for you to not be on the road.
Right.
Stay home, allow us to get out and do our assessments and make sure that it's safe for you to do so.
Absolutely.
You want to add something to that, Mr. Rabin?
Yes. So just back to the actual operations center. So that would be our utilities group, our operational group. So that would be mainly consisting of parks, regiments, works in the DCI, fire service, it would be, and police. And yeah, so we all coordinate that. And like the minister said, she mentioned the Tree Frog app, which was designed a couple of years ago by a college student. And that was to get messaging out to the younger generation, because a lot of people don't listen to the radio. They go on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't think I've ever listened to the radio, but I had the Tree Frog app, and then of course Twitter and all of that. So we know that Bermudians, come hurricane time, there's always a thing. Oh, I need to get all my rum. I need to get Spizzle. I need to get my alcohol because it's going to be a party. I don't view hurricanes that way because I live on the North Shore. It's very and it is serious. So I personally don't do that. But what do you say to Bermudians who just don't take it seriously, are going to start their prep the day before? Like, what would you say to encourage them to actually prepare?
Michaela, I would first of all, I'd like to appeal to them to do it early, right? It doesn't make it. Why would we want to find ourselves in a space of being unprepared, and then in any way put ourselves at risk, ourselves or even our families, our neighbors, or anything like that? I've said it and I said it again that I think Bermuda does extremely well when it comes time to galvanize. But part of being galvanized in this instance is being prepared. So if I can appeal to the public, that's why wait. And we talk a lot about personal responsibility. I speak a lot about things that make common sense. And so let's just exercise these things. There's no need for us to wait to purchase, AA batteries and then we go into the shop and want to complain that we can't find them.
Yeah.
And right now, you probably have loads of them in the shops. There's no need for us to be running around, doing some of the canned goods that we can kind of push to the back of the cabinet and know that that's for the, we're preparing ourselves for hurricane season. There's some things that we can do now. So, the rum's not going to go bad. I can assure you of that. The swizzle won't go bad either. So if that's part of your hurricane war package, then you know what, go for it. But I just say do everything early and just be prepared.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
Yeah,
Mr. Rebane, what do we need? Like at a bare minimum, what do we need? Because I need to take notes actually.
Okay. Well, first of all, you need maybe a
I think.
And then we lost Mr. Rabin.
Oh no.
Lost him.
Sure, I can give you some of the. You're back, Mr. Rabin.
Is he back? He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
You're back. Okay, good.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, what again?
I think
one thing though, Michaela, that I would like to say that we talk about batteries, we talk about water, we talk about canned food. Another thing that people need to take into consideration is medical prescriptions.
Yes.
Because just in case the shop was not open, we just kind of tell people to make sure you have at least 2 weeks worth of these prescriptions, like your flashlights, your portable radios, spare batteries, a stock of non-perishable foods, and we generally say have enough available for 7 days. And then it's always a really good time to check your home insurance policy that is up to date. And again, just checking on the members of the community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, let's just be honest. There are some people, you spoke about, people doing smart thing. We know people can be outright idiots and put the lives of others in jeopardy. So we have Mr. Rebane mentioned, you have the regiment, the police, the fire, like so many people in the EMO who are there to protect us and help us and take care of us. But speak to the people who see these huge waves and want to go out and test them and don't realize are putting the lives of the others in jeopardy by putting themselves in those situations.
Right, and allowing their children to do it too. That's the other part. That's like crazy to me.
Yeah.
If I had to speak to that, I want to think about that person that's gonna, if you get into some sort of trouble, that there's responders who have to come out and rescue you, and which is also puts their lives in danger. And when we, sometimes in the heat of the moment, we don't stop and think about what wider pictures and consequences look like. But just imagine if I'm out and I'm doing something crazy and the police officer or someone from the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service has to come rescue me and it just doesn't go well. And then I have to kind of live with that for the rest of my life, that was a decision that I made, may not have been the best decision, but it could have caused someone else and their family some hardship. And do we actually really want to have that on our conscience? So when we're making these decisions and we're thinking about things that we want to go out and do, there's some of these things to even think about, right? Because it may not even be your family impacted, it could be someone else. And then just to even think about if something happens to you and your family is impacted, and is it really worth it for like making just a split second bad decision when I could have just been home and watching Netflix and just been safe?
Exactly.
Yeah. And Mr. Rebane, did you want to add anything to that in terms of, people out there? Because your team, again, they're there to, for disaster relief. We shouldn't have people out there putting them in greater harm. Did you want to add anything to that as a plea to the people of Bermuda?
Yes. I think another phenomenon is people going out and trying to take pictures. Please stay indoors. You see people out on bikes trying to snap pictures of and take the photo of anything that's happening. People going out to the beaches and getting stuck in the sand in the vehicles. So please stay home, especially in the height of the storm. The first people out on the road usually would be the regiment to clear the main roads for emergency vehicles, along with parks. Yeah, so those are the only people that should be out. And there's down power lines, which is a great hazard. And if you're not coordinating with the agencies, stay home.
Yeah.
Mr. Rabin touches on the safety part of it as well, because we do lots of assessments after the hurricane. And you're right, we have Belco that will be out, we have Parks, we have the Bermuda Regiment, we have the BPS. So everyone's kind of going out and just making the assessments on what's safe and where we can and cannot move about. So it doesn't help us when we have members of the public who are moving about as well. And in essence, it could be very dangerous, especially if you have Belco lines that could be done. We have other utility lines that could be done. So I just ask the public to just have a little bit of patience when we get to these stages and allow us to get out and do our assessments, because the hurricane may have passed, but it doesn't necessarily mean the danger has passed in terms of what damage has been left in terms of tree damage, Belco lines, all of the things we just talked to you about. And so I know you want to get out, you want to kind of make your own assessments, but allow us to be able to get out first to make sure it's safe for you to get out.
Yeah, indeed.
Just one more thing. The main culprit who would be out would be the boat owner. You can't do anything in the dark, so just stay home until it's safe to move.
Indeed.
Oh, and Michaela would know this, especially. Jamal, you don't have the pleasure of living in St. George's, but for whatever reason, there's an attraction to the causeway. Yeah. And everybody wants to know what happens with the causeway.
Yeah.
And so there is an assessment and a critical assessment that's done on the causeway, because you have to ensure that it's safe. So we have a team that they're good walking over the top of the causeway, but then we have ones that go under the causeway with boats as well, just to make sure that it's structurally safe. So we have to keep we keep this large stone barriers on there, but I get calls, but when is the causeway open? When is the causeway open? So we constantly try and keep you updated to say that, you know what, as soon as it's safe to do so. We're not trying to keep you at home. We're not trying to say you can't move around, but we want to make sure it's safe before we say, okay, yes, the island is open and you can move about again.
Indeed. Kathy Brumby, and I think you answered this, is the station still FM 100?
Yes, 100.1.
100.1. And Shikaran, I'm not sure if you can answer this. Do landlords require tenants to aid in property preparedness contractually?
I guess if that would be part of a rental agreement, but you know what? Maybe we talked about personal responsibility. So if you're in that home and you want to make sure that you're safe, even if you're not the person doing the work, you may want to bring it to the attention of your landlord that maybe a tree hanging over or something dangerous or whatever. So let's not kind of wait always for someone to do something for us. Let's take some ownership on ourselves, because you're keeping you're keeping you safe, your family safe, and someone else as well.
And I'm just going to share this comment before you both go. Bernsey Bircher says, yes, please, people, as an emergency service operator, we receive calls from the highest point of storage, and people may have not been dealt with because roads are not passable. And being on the road when not necessary can prolong a necessary emergency response. So good way to sign off, and just asking people to be considerate, be wise. And thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr. Rabin. Please know that if you require our platform as we get into the busy period of the season, hopefully not as busy. But we did Dr. Guichard on the first day of hurricane season on June 1st. And so far, so great. But we know Bermuda, as Michaela stated, is usually impacted to the back end. So hope for good things. Thanks again. And should you need us, you know how to get us.
Thank you so much for having us, Jamal. And Michaela, have a good day.
No problem.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right. Great information from the minister and Mr. Rabin. If you enjoyed that conversation, you know what to do. Thumbs up, love, like, even share the conversation. The information is invaluable for Bermuda and Bermudians, even people who are in other areas that may be affected. We're going to stump Michaela in about 60 seconds. So do not go anywhere. Oh, it's not happening? You got this one?
I got it.
All right. Here we go.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
All right, it's the Daily Hour. Welcome back. She's Michaela and I'm Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to Medical House Lindos, One Communications, our friends over at Channel 82, every one of you who continue to tune in. And thanks again to the Minister of National Security, Renee Ming, and Dean Rebane from the Ministry of National Security for the conversation today. As stated, if you enjoyed the conversation, found the information valuable, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, or make sure you share these kinds of conversations so that Bermuda benefits from being prepared and better situated for these natural disasters. Time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Michaela, are you ready?
Already.
Okay, she's ready, folks. It is a song lyrics. Here we go. Quote, I looked at you, looking at me. Now I know why they say the best things are free. End quote.
I know this song. Look at you looking at me. I know this song, and I'm going to be irritated because somebody's going to get it before me.
Help her out.
Why they say the best? Oh, geez, this is making me irritated.
Help her out, folks. Help her out, folks. Wow, our sister got it.
Yes, and I'm like, it's right here, right? And I'm like, looking at me.
I thought you had that one wrapped up, Kales. I was like, oh, she's gonna get this one. She's gonna get that.
I sang that song when I was like 13 at a middle school dance.
No, not best things in life are free ones.
No, that's definitely Monica, Angel of Mine. Yes,
it was Monica, Angel of Mine. Wow, we got. I thought you had that one, Michaela. I honestly thought you had that one.
The coffee wasn't strong enough today.
He said, Paula Abdul. No. Teresa Terry Too Cool says, Georgia Peach, the GOAT. Love Monica. Yeah, she was awesome back in the late 90s.
Absolutely.
And, Monica Dunstan. Oh, Monica, namesake. She also got it right. Angel of Mine. Look, what are your thoughts on today's episode, Kills?
I just want everybody to focus on personal responsibility in both sides of the conversation. So when we're talking about COVID and how we're not out of the pandemic, we still have to do these things. We still have to be responsible. We still have to wear the mask, as annoying as they are, but we've got to do it. And then when it comes to hurricanes, I appreciate Minister Ming saying start preparing. So when I go to the grocery store this weekend, I'm going to get some batteries. I'm going to get some things so that there isn't, a last minute rush, because I'm the queen of last minute. And I'm like, no, I'm going to prepare ahead of time because Minister Ming told me to do so.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on both. I mean, conversations actually, as you stated, personal responsibility all the way around. It's up to us. Our fate is determined by our decisions.
Yes.
Hurricanes, I mean, Mother Nature is so unpredictable, right? The best thing we can do is learn from lessons prior. And Bermuda has had a lot of recent experiences to learn and become better for it. I can't stress enough. I know it's probably a cultural thing at this point for Bermudians to want to go out, take pictures, and assess the damage. But honestly, folks, we can still do that, but let the first responders get out and do their thing to make it easier for you to go and take those pictures.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you're going to do outside of just make it longer and inconvenience yourself and others if you do that. So, Kales, any inspiration for us? We need some daily inspiration.
I got it. Ready? Wake up, crush it, repeat.
It's that simple. It's that simple, folks.
That's what we do.
Crush it and repeat. On repeat, folks. We try to do that with you every day. We will be having Flora Duffy on the show very soon to engage with the audience. So look forward to that. Tomorrow we're gonna be speaking with some members from the Bermuda Girl Guides. I think that's going to be an interesting conversation because I did not even know the Girl Guides were still around. I know my cousin and Girl Guide, but so many organizations that have been around for so long, they need your help to stay. And many of these organizations played a huge role in so many women's lives who are very impactful in our community. So it should be interesting.
Absolutely.
And then on Friday, we'll be having a conversation about the sugar tax and our health. But for today, thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, Michaela and myself, Jamal Hartman, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. my friends, make it a great day. Peace.
Yes, this is